What's going on, people? It's your brother Long Wind, and we back at it again. This is a Java tutorial, getting your system set up to be able to start coding in the Java programming language and building applications. So I have a list here that I'm going to be following to eventually get us to the point where we can create a Java program. But before we get here, we got to go through some fundamental concepts so we can all have a good idea of what we're dealing with here when we're talking about computers and programs and the GUI and the terminal and this and that. So without further ado, let's get started. So when you're on a computer, you are dealing with directories and files. That is the simplest way to look at it. Directories and files. These files can be static files with just content that is not dynamic. It doesn't change in any way. Similar to this file right here. This file called Spiritually Technical Notes can be found in a directory. So if I go to here, okay, let's see what directory this is in. Let's open it up. So the way that we get to files, we use something called a finder. So I'm using a Mac operating system. And so on a Mac operating system, the application for you to search for files is the finder. And so the way that I'm searching for files is using the GUI, the graphical user interface. So where is this file at? Trying to find this file. It's on the iCloud. But where at on the iCloud? Oh, okay. So on my iCloud, I have a text edit folder. And if I close this file, I'll be able to open it. And you can see it come back up because I know the location of where that file is stored at in my system. So the way that I looked it up, I'm using the graphical user interface. Graphical user interface is everything that you're looking at here, where you see files, also known as directories, as well as the files themselves. So this text edit is a directory inside of my iCloud drive. And in that text edit directory, there's a file. This file's name is Technically Spiritual Notes. And this is the file itself, open and here for you to be able to see and modify in any way you need to. So That is how you get to the file through the GUI, the graphical user interface. Graphical user interface is just the way that we're interacting with files in a file system. File system consists of directories and files, and the path is the location of the file. So it'll have a subdirectory, it'll have a directory, a subdirectory. Like we see, iCloud Drive is a directory, but in there, the subdirectory would be the text edit, and in here, I can create another folder, name that subdirectory, and I can put this in there. So now I have a subdirectory that can lead me to where my file is located at. So what if I wanted to view this file on something other than the GUI, the graphical user interface? There's only one other place where I'll be able to access this file, and that is through something called a terminal. So let's open up a terminal. This is my terminal. If you do Command and the space bar, you can have that search bar pop up, and you can look up terminal, and this is the application for you to open up your terminal. So this is the terminal I already had open. But we're gonna open up a new one. This is a new fresh terminal. So I know it's very, very small. Try to zoom in so you can see. All right, so I'm currently inside of the users directory, and in the users directory, this is my username, longwin1, no valves. So that's where I'm currently located at. PWD is a command meaning present working directory. So this is where I'm at. This is the path that I'm at. But I want to get to this file, technically spiritual notes. So in order to do that, I need to know I gotta go to root. Okay, so my iCloud drive. Let's see if I can get information on the path. iCloud drive, text edit. So maybe I can access it like that. iCloud drive, CD into iCloud drive. Doesn't know where that's at. How can I find this on my system? Mm, mm, mm. Mm, mm. To the iCloud drive. All right. So send that to get to there. Here you go, users. My username, library. So I'm in library. And then they have mobile documents. Mobile documents. Wants to access a manage files managed by the iCloud drive. Allow. So now I'm in the iCloud drive and I should be able to see text edit. There we go. Subdirectory. And this is the file that I created here. So this is what it looks like in the terminal, which is not the graphical user interface. This is under the hood, what it looks like to locate a file you're trying to get to. This is the file we're trying to get to. And I think we close that file. But yeah, this is that file. All right, so this is the file. This is looking at it on the graphical user interface in this text edit application. And this is looking at it in the Finder on the GUI. And this is looking at it under the hood in our terminal. So that file can actually be opened up in the terminal as well using an application. It's a console application or terminal application called Nano. And so you just type Nano and then the name of the file, which would be technically spiritual notes. Excuse me. Then I would press enter. And then now I'm inside of that file. And you can see everything that I wrote here, where it says graphical user interface, file system, directories, files, and paths, terminal. These are all the concepts that we just covered. So just to reiterate everything that we did, we understood what the graphical user interface is. It's the interface which allows us to interact with the file system. Interface meaning it is the medium in which we can create, update, delete, move these files as well as these directories. So where you see the pictures and images and programs, that's all a part of the GUI, the graphical user interface. The file system is the directories and files that help organize our system. So to locate a specific file, you have to know the path, meaning the directories and subdirectories, which get you to the file you are looking for. Just like how we had, let's exit this. We went users, and then my username, library, mobile documents. And then we went to text edit, documents, subdirectory, and that got us to the file that we were looking for. So these are the concepts that we just covered: graphical user interface, the terminal, and the file system. Now, I want to go into the difference between downloading and installing. So when you download something, let's go and download something from the internet. When you download something, it's being placed on your computer. We download files, but we install software. So when I say install, I'm saying we actually set it up to where it can be used in a way that aligns with our system. So that'll make a little bit more sense as we install some software. But I do want to just download something so you can get an idea. So let's look up Muhammad of the iconic picture. So I'm gonna download this. Create a folder. Internet pics. All right, so I downloaded this from the internet. And now we can see that it is on my computer. But if I go to my terminal, let me try to. Change the name of this file. All right, applie.jpg. I don't know if you can see that. applie.jpg is the name of the file, right? Now, if I want to have my system recognize this file, I would have to install it in some way, shape, or form. But since this is not a software and it's just an image, we download data like this. We don't install data like this. So I can't go to my system and type in applie.jpg that JPEG because it can't find that. It doesn't know what that is. If I go to that directory, I can locate that, but it's not installed on my machine. My system is not actually recognizing what this is until I open it up. I recognize what it is. It just knows that it's another file in my system. So that's a download. When you install something, for example, I have installed the Java programming language and my system recognizes that. So when I do Java dash dash version, my system is going to tell me what version of Java I have installed on my machine, as well as other details with respect to the Java programming language. So that is the difference between downloading and installing. So when you install it, your system is able to recognize the software that you have installed, and it will give you more information about it as opposed to something that's just downloaded, that's just seen as another file in your file system. So that's the difference between a download and an installation. The next thing I want to move to is, because I have a Mac operating system, when you're downloading software, you're going to want to know the difference between Apple Silicon and Intel. So we'll get into that when we download the environment where we're going to be coding at. But that is something to keep in mind. There's a difference between those two things. So, but now I want to uninstall my JDK, my Java version. Okay. So if I do echo Java home, I'm going to see the path to where my Java installation is in my file system. So I'll go here. And when you open the Finder and you want to go to a specific path, you press Command Shift G and you just paste in the path, and then you can go to that location. So I'm gonna go Command Shift G, but I'm gonna go back to here. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to change the name of this file. Okay. Forgot my damn password. Okay. Hold up. Bruh. Okay, well, some technical difficulties. Okay, there we go. All right. So I changed the name of this file because if it has the incorrect name, then my system should not recognize it. Java dash. Let me close this. Let me open a new one actually. Java dash version. Okay, it's still identifying where it is at. So let me go ahead and just delete that JDK completely. All right, trash that. There is, I'm gonna use that nano command again. Hold on. All right, so we use the Z profile to actually set up the paths to where our software installations are, to where our system can recognize them. So I deleted it. And now I'm gonna make sure this path is moved. Z profile. All right. So I'm gonna comment this out. So it's now not gonna be recognized by my system. Press control. Control has a little caret. That's how you save it. You press Control O to save it. And then once you save it, you press enter to keep that same file name. And then you press Control X to exit. So now it shouldn't. There you go. unable to locate the Java runtime, right? So we need to install Java. And the way that we do that, I can just delete this. I'm gonna just delete this whole thing from the library. So I'm gonna go to my library. Users, L1. I'm just following this path right here so I can get to the library. I'm looking for Java. Okay, so I'm inside my user directory looking for Java. I'm in my user directory in the my user in the library directory looking for Java, but there's also a library directory in my file system, in my on my system. So you have your user and then you have your system. So the user is on the system. And you can have multiple users on a system. So now I'm gonna check my system. It's library directory. If I change directory to the root and check that library directory. Let's see if we can find Java. There we go. So now we have Java. So now I'm gonna delete Java by pressing RM, Java. And since it's a directory, you do RM-R, and then yes. Okay, so I'm getting permission denied. So if I do who am I? Who am I supposed to tell me who I am? There you go. So this is who I am, right? But now, I want to delete this Java directory, and it's not letting me, right? So how do I do that? Sudo that allows me to use admin privileges. The admin is the role that is above just a regular user. So right now I'm long one. That's my user. I want to delete this file and I'm getting permission denied. In order to do that, I need to actually change my role just for this specific command. So I do sudo to change my role to have admin privileges to run this command. And it's going to ask me for my password. I'm going to type that in. And then now I don't have the Java directory anymore. So before it was underneath kernel collections, but now kernel collections doesn't have the Java command anymore. So we don't have Java. We downloaded Muhammad Ali. But now we're going to do an installation. Java download for Mac. So Oracle is the website that puts out the different installations for Java. So we're going to go to the Oracle website to download Java. Usually when you're trying to download Java, you want to get the long-term support release. That's that LTS version. That means this is the version that's going to be supported for the longest amount of time. So, went to the website, scroll down. We already seen that the long-term release is JDK 21. So we're going to download JDK 21. So we download the installer. Okay. So we download the installer. Now, here, the ARM64 is for the Silicon, Apple Silicon, and the X64 is for Intel. So to better understand what that is, you can see on my machine, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of small. Let's see. Okay, on my machine, I have an Apple M4. So anytime you have the chip where it's like M1, M2, M3, or M4, or in the future they have M5 or whatever. If you have that chip, that is a silicon chip. So you will need the ARM option, which is this ARM64 instead of the X64, which is for the Intel chip. Okay, that's talking about your graphics chip. So that's something you need to be aware of. Whenever you have to choose if you need the ARM or the X, make sure you're selecting ARM if you have the M1, M2, M3, or M4 series Apple laptop. So I'm gonna download this. To that Java install folder. About 4 seconds left. All right, so it was installed. All right, so now this is gonna take you through the JDK installer. So let me zoom in on this. Okay, so this is the installer. So we downloaded the installer. This is gonna allow us to actually install the Java software. And before we go any further, you keep seeing this term JDK, JDK, JDK. What is the JDK? So the JDK is the complete toolkit that allows you to develop Java applications. It consists of three major things: the JVM, which is the Java virtual machine, allowing you to convert the bytecode into machine code on different operating systems, as well as the JRE, which is the Java runtime environment, and the core libraries and dev tools. So that's what the JDK consists of. Install for all users. Yes. Install. All right. So it was a successful installation. All right. So now okay. So that was installed, and now let's check and see. All right. So at 4:02, we got the Java file back in place, the one that we deleted. You guys remember that? But we actually deleted that file, and now it's back. So you can see the Java file is back. And inside there, we have JDK 24. Oh, we installed the wrong one. Uh-oh. It's okay. Just do it again. I was trying to install JDK 21 actually. So let me delete that. Okay. So we want the ARM. Okay. Let's try that again. All right. So we downloaded JDK 21. And now we're gonna go through the installer again. But for JDK 21, I'm gonna install it for all users. So it will be in the system library directory and not the user library directory. Install. All right. Install was successful. So now we can close that. Okay, check the version. Let me see, we got JDK 21. There you go, that's what I wanted to see. All right. So now if I do Java dash dash version, it's gonna say Java 21. And then just to make sure everything is good, I'm gonna go nano. This tilde / takes me to my user directory. So we have cd command. And if I do that, it's gonna take me to my user directory where It's just users and then the user that I am. All right. So that's me. This is my directory in the users directory. So when I do nano, which is a program that allows you to edit files in the terminal, I go nano and then um, nano tilde / and then Z profile. It's going to take me here and I'm going to remove that hashtag to uncomment this variable. Actually, I want to see something before I do that. It look like it still saved it. Getting it saved. Just put the wrong name on purpose. So if I do echo Java, it's still identifying that Java home variable. That's interesting. Okay. Well, might as well put it correctly. And write out, enter, Control X. All right. So far, we covered what a graphical user interface was. We saw what the file system was. We understood directories, files, what the path is, what the terminal is, the difference between downloading and installing software. Apple Silicon, that's the M series, M1, M2, M3, M4. And the Intel is any other Mac operating system that's their type of graphics card. If it's not an M series Apple machine, then it's going to have an Intel graphics card. So we understood that. We understood what the JDK was, that it's the complete toolkit for developing Java applications. And it consists of three main parts, which is the JRE, the Java Runtime Environment, the JVM, and the core libraries / developer tools. We also uninstalled Java on a Mac operating system, and we installed Java on a Mac operating system. So we did a lot today. But I want you to do a little bit more. So since we could do Java dash dash version, that means that this software, this Java software, is installed, right? And we can do things anywhere in the system because it's installed in the system. We can do things for Java anywhere in the system. So what I'm gonna do right now, let's see, where am I? Do ls. Let's go into documents. All right, and then let's go to, excuse me, programming concepts. Let's go into Java. So I'm gonna make a directory. Let's clear this. I'm gonna make a directory. Make this a little bigger. So I'm gonna make a directory called my first Java program. All right. And cd change directories into my first program. So now this is the path that I'm at. User long when documents programming concepts. Java my first program. Okay, that's the path. So in here, now I'm gonna create a file, touch, and then I'm gonna name this first program.java. All right. So if I do ls, you see that file there at the path. And then I'm gonna use nano to edit it. All right. So now, public class program. And this is just the basics to running a Java program. All right, so we created a class called first program. Your class name and the name of your file have to be identical or it's not gonna work. So we created first program. Then we created our main method. And in the main method, we have this program printing out hello child of God. That's all it does. When you run it, it's just gonna print out hello child of God. That's it. This is a very minimal program, but it is a Java program. So this is what we're gonna be running today. And I'll show you what I meant earlier when I said Java is compiled into bytecode. So we do Control O, and then it's gonna ask me about the file name, and I'm gonna press enter. And then I do Control X to exit. Control X. So now we're back at the console, And I'm going to use the Java compiler. So we run the program with Java, but we compile it with Java C. And this is going to compile it. Now, when I do ls, you see the Java program as well as the class file. This class file consists of bytecode that once we run Java first program, this bytecode is going to be converted into machine code for our operating system to actually execute the code for. So that process is done by the JVM, the Java Virtual Machine, which exists inside of our JDK. So all of this is packaged up in the JDK, and this is how it gets used together. So I'm going to press enter, and we see hello child of God. So yeah, that's what it looks like to run a program in Java. And we got the output that we were looking for. I'm not sure exactly why this % sign came, but let's see. Okay, so it was there because we didn't go to a new line. This print statement just prints out this code, and if it was another print method, it would just print it out right next to it, how it did. So like, let me show you. So if I had something like this, this will be next to the child. I'm gonna just say next to a child of God. Control O, enter, Control X. Java C. Compiled it, and I'm gonna run it with Java and just the name. You don't add in the extension when you actually run it. You only add the extension when you compile it. And so you see it's all on the same line. That is because I use print. And now, if I use print ln, that stands for print line. That means when this statement is printed to the console, it's gonna be ready to print whatever is next on the line below it. So we compile it. Let me clear this. Compile it. You see that? So it's not on the same line anymore. All right. So that is a Java program. Very simple Java program, and how to run it, how to compile it and run it. This is getting closer to the end of this tutorial. But the last thing that I wanted to give you guys was how to prepare to start building actual Java applications. You're going to need a IDE. So IntelliJ. Let me cut some music on. All right. So IntelliJ is something called an IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Okay. So I don't know why I did that in the terminal, but this is adding on IDE. Integrated Development Environment. So this is where you actually develop applications at. So let's go to the internet and download this software and then install this software. We're going to get the community edition because it's actually free. All right, so now you're seeing Apple Silicon. They also have Intel. That's like what we were mentioning before. And we were in the Java downloads, looking at JDK 21, trying to see what the difference was between the x64 and the ARM. Remember we said ARM is for the Apple Silicon and the x64 is for the Intel. Well, here it doesn't necessarily say ARM and x64. It just says Apple Silicon and Intel. So, you know, I have the Apple M4. If you can see that. I have the Apple M4. So I'm going to be using, or I'm going to be installing the Apple Silicon. All right, so all right, so we're gonna install the Apple Silicon, and it's gonna go here. I'm going to save it. Saving it in my IntelliJ IDE folder. I created this folder inside of a folder called software installations. Software installations is inside of my documents folder. So that's how I'm organizing my file system. So this is something that you're going to learn along the way that is very useful to stay organized in your computer so you can easily locate and find files that you're looking for. So we're downloading the installer for IntelliJ IDE. This is in my documents. I created this software installations folder, and then I just created IntelliJ IDE. And I'm gonna save it at that location. So I'll click save. And now it's going through the motions of actually installing. We almost at the end. We almost at the end. We came a long way. Came a very long way. Covered a lot of things today. Very comprehensive tutorial. Maybe I can redo this if you watch this and you have questions or you want me to slow down on a specific spot. Please put that in the comments. I would like to give you the best tutorial I possibly can. But while that's downloading, let's just go back over everything we covered today. The graphical user interface, that is everything that we're looking at right here, where it has like these different windows and these different pictures. It's allowing us to interface, to interact, to connect with the underlying file system, which we can see using the terminal. So graphical user interface is what we usually use when we open up like our Finder and we drag and drop files or create folders in that place or create files in that place. That's using the graphical user interface. We have a file system, which is the system in which files are stored. In that system, we have directories, files, and then the paths that allow us to navigate to those files. In a path, you have a directory, a subdirectory. It could be one or multiple subdirectories that are leading you to the file that you want to retrieve. Then we have the terminal. The terminal is the underlying environment where we can navigate our file system. Then we showed the difference between downloading. We're actually in the middle of downloading software right now. Once this is downloaded, we will install it. So when you download it, it just goes on your file system and it's there, and we download files. But with installation, that's a software. We're installing a software, and that's allowing us to maybe use a specific type of application or code in a programming language. We also looked at the difference between Apple Silicon, which is the M series, the M1, M2, M3, M4, and beyond. And then the Intel right here. When we talking about Apple Silicon and Intel, we are talking about graphics cards. So this is how your machine is processing programs, CPU, GPU type of stuff. Apple Silicon usually has a GPU embedded in it, and Intel, it might have one or it might not. Depends on your machine. Usually it won't, to my knowledge. Don't quote me on that. If you know better, put it in the comment section. We also covered what the JDK was. It's the toolkit that allows you to develop Java applications, and it consists of three main parts: JRE, JVM, core libraries / developer tools. We also uninstalled Java programming language, and we installed the Java programming language. And we actually did that twice because we accidentally installed Java 24 instead of Java 21, which was the LTS latest release, long-term release. Excuse me. That Java 21 is the long-term release version, which is the one that we wanted. And so we uninstalled Java 24 to install Java 21. We also looked at what compilation was and how when you compile a Java program using Java C, it is going to create bytecode, which is going to be the name of the program and the class, right? So that's what we're looking at here. Okay, and then we went into creating this file. So to create that file, we use the command touch. And then we created a Java program, built a Java program, right? Built it with build and compile is the same thing. We ran a Java program. Java, and then the name of the Java program. So then we installed IntelliJ IDEA, which is an IDE, an integrated development environment. And I believe that installation is complete now. Oh, a few more seconds. But once that's completed, I'm gonna go ahead and create a small application. And then that will conclude this tutorial. I know it was a lot, but it's a lot of fundamental concepts that we covered today. And I think this is going to be really good to get you started with programming in the Java programming language. All right, so that's completed. So if I double click that, it's going to ask me to add it into my applications folder. All right, so now that it's in my applications folder, I should be able to access IntelliJ. IntelliJ. There we go. All right, so I'm getting this message. Yes, I would like to open it. Oh, okay. It looks like it's saying a valid subscription is required. So what that means is we didn't install the community edition. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna delete that. Okay. You gotta be careful. This is the second time we made a mistake on installing the correct software. So let me go to the right place. Yeah. So I'm over here looking at Ultimate, which is not the right one. I really need to get to Community Edition. Here we go. All right, so now saving it. And now I'm installing IntelliJ Community Edition because I accidentally installed the Ultimate version, which I'm not paying for at this time. So we're almost done. Let's play the Play the song again. We covered a lot. We covered a lot. So these are all the fundamentals to get started with Java application development. Okay. So in the terminal, we went over a couple commands. We seen touch. We seen mkdir. We seen cd. We seen sudo. We seen remove. We've seen what else? Removes a file. A file system. If you need to remove a directory, use rm-r. This gets all the subdirectories. Files. Sudo gives a user admin rights to execute a task. You will be prompted for password if used. Changes directory. So it could be like cd documents. That's an example. If I did an example for sudo, it'd be like sudo remove -r Java. That's what we use sudo at. So I'm gonna just have that as an example. And then this is to create a new directory. And then mkdir. And then touch creates a new file. An example would be touch new file. Let's say that txt. So if you create a file, you should know what type of file that is, and you should put the extension. We use today in the terminal. All right, so these are pretty much the commands we use today. Just check and see where we at with the download. Here we go. All right. So now we can open up the community edition. All right, so let's create a new project. It's gonna be my first project. So if you do IntelliJ, you're not going to be able to build your code. So let's change this to my failed build. So create it. So it looks like it's about to work. Mm, to my surprise. Yeah, that didn't work for me last time. So I guess you can create a project using IntelliJ for the build configuration. That's interesting. Hmm. Okay, well, guess you would just include the dependencies in here. Alongside the JDK. And that's how you would get going with that. But for me, I'm going to suggest the other options. Yeah. Dang. Just falling asleep. Working too long. Okay, so this is going to be my Maven build. So I'm using Maven as the build tool. And then, okay. I'm just gonna create a Java class. Gonna name this who are you? And then public static void main. Man, alright. And then program is gonna say, hello, what is your name? And then you're gonna say, all right, so this program is basically gonna ask what your name is. It's using a scanner, which is coming from the Java utils library to retrieve some information from a user, store that information in a variable, and then print that information out to the console. So let's run this code. I'm gonna say Wind. Hello, Wind. Nice to meet you, sir. And that is the end of the program. So, one thing I do want to mention is we use Maven as the build tool, which means we have a pom.xml file. This pom.xml file is XML. That's the language that the at the pom.xml file is in. It's in XML. So whenever you want to import any dependencies that aren't a part of the Java core libraries, this is the location where that will happen. All right, so now I'm gonna do one last project. And I'm gonna build it in Gradle. So now let's name this my first Gradle project. All right, so instead of a pom.xml, Gradle has a build.gradle file. So that's the subtle difference between these build configurations. But still, you can see it says Maven Central because dependencies for a project being built with Maven versus a project being built with Gradle, those dependencies are both coming from the Maven repository. On the Maven repository, it is a jar containing code that you can use in your Java application. The dependency is giving you a connection to be able to use those libraries. And a lot of times those libraries get updated and have bug fixes made on them. So it would be in your best interest to upgrade when you can. So the difference between, another difference between Gradle and Maven is that Gradle is in JSON. Maven is in XML. Okay, so let's see, Gradle. Gradle project. What is that about? Let me delete that. Add that in here. There we go. Public static void main string args. Then we got system dot out dot one. And then I want to say hello child. Okay. I'm having some technical difficulties because I'm a little tired. Okay. Let me just say, hello child, what is your name? Hello child, what is your name? And then I'm gonna say long when it says nice to meet you, long wind, and that's the end of the program. So now we done built 3 different programs. 2 of them are set up to use a build tool. We have Maven and we have Gradle. Maven has XML syntax and Gradle has JavaScript syntax. Very subtle difference. Very much the same, doing the exact same thing. So that will finally conclude this tutorial. Thank you everyone for joining. Until the next one, peace. Peace out. Peace out. Peace out. Might get the rapping. Might get the rapping. About to get some lunch. About to have a munch. I'm about to go and make a little crunch. Got a bunch of knowledge that I want to share. Don't look at me. You can stare. I'm gonna do it like a flare. I don't even care. That shit was whack. But we gonna work on that. All right, y'all. Peace.